Okay, welcome back to our lecture 15, which where now we will develop the optimality conditions for the unconstrained optimization. And I'll start with the simple univariate case, wherein we want to minimize f of x over just a scalar variable x, which is or in other words, x is in R1. We are going to assume that f is everywhere twice continuously differentiable. Simple. So everywhere twice continuously differentiable function, and local minima of f exists. Local minimum of f exists and at a finite point x star, at some finite point x star. This is already assumed. In that case, the necessary conditions are for x star to be optimal. That's what we are trying to see. What is necessary for necessary conditions for x star to be optimal? That's the question that we are trying to solve. And those two conditions are f dash of x star should be equal to 0 and f double dash of x star is greater than or equal to 0. Now, since we have assumed uh, twice continuously differentiable function everywhere, so I can write Taylor series expansion of x star around around some epsilon, around some perturbation epsilon around x star as f of x star plus epsilon times the differential value of df by dx of f df by dx of x calculated at x star plus half of epsilon square second derivative of f calculated at x square x star plus theta e. Now remember that this last term here, which makes this exact, which makes this Taylor series exact, in this last term, we are not calculating at x star, but rather we are calculating it at some other point x star plus theta e, and this theta is between 0 and 1. So that means if this is x star and this is x star plus epsilon, this point could be anywhere here. This point could be anywhere here. And since we don't know the value of theta, where this becomes exact, we don't exactly know what theta to put here. All the Taylor series expansion tells us is that there is some theta such that this term here will make this equality exact. So but the theta value is not known. Now, now and theta is between 0 and 1. So your point where it becomes exact is between somewhere between x star and x star plus epsilon. That much information we have. Now, what is our first condition for optimality? The first condition is that of that x star should be a stationary point. So what we are asking for here is that, so proof could be like this, that suppose f dash of x star is less than 0. That means I am going by proof by contradiction. That's what I am trying to do now. And I am going to assume to the contrary of what is asked. I am going to assume that f dash of x star is not equal to 0. So there are two possibilities. F dash of x star is less than 0 or f dash of x star is greater than 0. So I have now assumed that suppose this is less than 0. Then what it means? it implies that if I take epsilon greater than 0, some small value greater than 0, small enough, then the second term here would become less than 0. So the first derivative term, so the first derivative term will reduce the function. Okay, the first derivative term will reduce the function. Now I cannot conclude anything from here yet, because there is this second derivative term also. I have to look at the net behavior of this plus the second derivative term, which is this one. So actually I have to look at this net behavior of this term, and this will decide whether if this term is less than 0, then I can say that function will reduce. If it is greater than 0, then I can say that function will increase, and if this is equal to 0, then the function is not undergoing any change. So even though I have taken f dash f dash of x star less than 0, and so looking at this second term, I am saying, okay, then let me take a small step, a positive step, x star plus epsilon, and so this term is going to be less than 0. uh, Everything I cannot say from here right now. I need to classify this. The question is, can I say then that the total sum of this also will be less than 0? I mean, what I am trying to say is, if f dash of x star is less than 0, does it imply that this is also less than 0? That's the question. That's an interesting question that I am asking you. And answer is yes, provided epsilon is below some threshold epsilon bar. So that's the answer here. So to understand this, okay, let me explain to you geometrically. I draw first, let's say I compare x and x square, two functions, two functions I compare. Let's call this as psi of x once as this, and once psi 1 of x as this, and second time psi 2 of x as x square. So I am plotting this on the y axis, this is on the x axis. So if I plot x, it's going to look like this. Suppose this is 1, then this is also going to be 1, and this is also going to be 1, and then if I plot x square is all 0 at x equal to 0 and 1 at x equal to 1, and then it becomes more positive than the uh, x. So this is how this function is going to behave. So you can see that now if I have a function like, for example, x minus x square, then for x less than 1, x minus x square will be positive if x is greater than 0. So there, what I am trying to say is, but I mean, if I take x greater than 0 and x less than 1, but if I take x greater than 1, then x minus x square will become less than 0. So that means that for small values, small values of x, the first term, the linear term, decides the sine of x minus x square, is it not? But for large x, the quadratic term decides. Then the thing goes the other way around. For large x, the quadratic term decides the sine of x minus x square. Now, suppose instead of this I had x minus 16x square. So is that going to change conceptually the behavior of it? You just see where these two terms become equal. So these two terms become equal at x equal to 1 by 16. So x equal to 1 by 16, they become equal, provided you are provided your x is less than this. The linear term will decide the sign. After that, the quadratic term will decide the sign. So what I am therefore trying to tell you is, in this small enough perturbation about x star, the sign of, if epsilon is below some threshold epsilon naught, then the sign of, I'm sorry, f double dash of x star plus theta epsilon. So long as epsilon is below some threshold epsilon bar, the sign of term 2 plus 3, this is term 2, this is term 3. So sign of term 2 plus 3 will be decided by 2 itself, by the linear term itself will decide the sign. And to put the things in a perspective, this x star plus this epsilon square by 2 is always less than some positive constant m times of epsilon square. So therefore I really don't need to know this exact value of theta. I can always put this kind of a bound where this m could be 1 or 16 in my previous example. See, theta is between 0 and 1. So this is basically a closed interval. So therefore it's a closed and bounded set, and this is a twice continuously differentiable function. So this is continuous. So therefore it by Weierstrass theorem it achieves minimum. So therefore or a maximum, I mean it achieves both minimum and a maximum. So therefore you can always say that if it achieves some maximum, then it will be, everything in this interval will be less than or equal, less than some m epsilon square. So this m could be 16 or whatever, as I told you earlier in this. So now then, once we have come to this conclusion that the sign of it for small enough epsilon, the sign of this second and third term, the summation of second and third term is decided by, and the second and third term, the summation sign of the summation of second and third term is decided by the second term itself, then if f dash of x star is less than 0 and epsilon is taken to be greater than 0, we can say that f of x star plus epsilon will be strictly less than f of x star, because epsilon of x dash of x star is less than 0. That's about it. So then therefore, if x star is a local optimum which is given to you, then f dash of x star cannot be less than 0. This is not possible. Similarly, f dash of x star cannot be greater than 0 also, because then you can choose a small enough epsilon less than 0 and still reduce the function. Both of the things are contradicted. So therefore f dash of x star is to be equal to 0. This is necessary for x star to be local minimum. Once we have arrived at this condition, then now the Taylor series says that, I'm sorry, now the Taylor series says that f of x star plus epsilon is nothing but f of x star, second term being 0, epsilon square by 2, f double dash of x star plus theta epsilon, where again, as I said, theta is between 0 and 1 and unknown. We don't know what it is. So at stationary point, now the behavior of the function is decided only by this third term of the, or the quadratic term of the Taylor series. So suppose, as is given to you, it's given to you that in necessary conditions we have said that f double dash x, we have said that this should be greater than or equal to 0. Is it not? This is the way necessary conditions were stated. F double dash of x star should be greater than or equal to 0. The second derivative should be non-negative. Then suppose now, to the contrary, assume that f double dash of x star is strictly less than 0. Okay, then by continuity argument, okay, the point here is I have assumed f double dash of x star to be less than 0, but what is the term here? F double dash of x star plus theta e. This is the term here sitting here, is it not? So if this implied, if this implied that that term also to be less than 0, then because epsilon square by 2 is always a positive term, what, and if this implied that this is also less than 0, then what would happen? F x star plus epsilon will become less than f of x of star, which will violate the condition that x star is a local minimum. So the point is, now we have to use the continuity, to establish this we have to use the continuity argument on second derivative of x at x star. If this is second derivative of f at x star is strictly less than 0, then continuity argument says that in a small enough neighborhood, I'm just writing it in plain English now. This is the continuity argument, that in small enough neighborhood, f double dash of x will continue to remain less than 0. If it suddenly becomes 0 or positive, that's a discontinuity. So it will continue to remain less than 0. What it means, in other words, to say that there is for this small enough epsilon, this term here, f double dash of x star plus theta e, will also be less than 0, because this term is theta e is always less than or equal between 0 and epsilon. So that is for small enough epsilon, it becomes that neighborhood, that it quantifies that neighborhood in which if this is less than 0, this also remains less than 0. In which case f of x star plus epsilon, which we wrote as now at the x star being a stationary point, it became x star plus theta epsilon, and now because this is less than 0, It basically means that x star f of x star plus e is strictly less than f of x of star, which is a contradiction to x star being a local minimum. So therefore we have to rule this condition out, which is exactly the thing that f double dash of x star, and if x star is a local minimum, f double dash of x star should be greater than or equal to 0. Further, if f double dash of x star is strictly greater than 0, then what does it mean? Then it means that around the stationary point, the function will strictly increase in the small enough vicinity. It will strictly increase for some epsilon below a threshold epsilon bar, which means that it is a strict local minimum. So in fact, this is a sufficiency condition. So let me put it like this. The necessary condition for x star to be a minimum is stationarity and second derivative to be greater than or equal to 0. Or you can also say it as non-negative curvature. While the sufficiency condition is, of course, stationarity and second derivative or the curvature to be strictly greater than 0. Because if in the vicinity of the stationary point it increases everywhere, then it is a minimum, is it not? It's a guarantee of a minimum. But here there is no guarantee. If it is a minimum, it should satisfy these conditions. But if these conditions are satisfied, what I mean to say is this is also 0 and the second derivative is also 0. I cannot conclude that it is a minimum. I cannot use the logic the other way around. I'll explain you like this. Let's take a function fx is equal to x square and let's take a function fx is equal to x cube. Now x equal to 0 is the stationary point in both the cases. Second derivative, if you take it here, it is positive 2. Second derivative, if you evaluate here, it is first derivative is 3x square and then the second derivative is 6x, which is equal to 0 at x equal to 0. Now if you plot these two functions, then you can see that for x square, x equal to 0 is a strong local minimum, but for x cube, this is also known as a point of inflection. X equal to 0 is also known as a point of inflection here. It is neither a minimum nor a maximum. It's nothing, just the function keeps reducing further beyond it. So necessary f equal to x cube, x star, question is x star equal to 0 a minimum? And if you check necessary conditions, they are satisfied. Is it not? They are satisfied. The necessary conditions are satisfied, yet it is not a minimum. The problem was second derivative was turning out to be 0. So you have to say now that second derivative being 0, more investigations in this function or the behavior of this function are more investigations are required. This is what we have to this is what our conclusion is. See, on the other hand, take some other point for fx equal to x cube itself, and let's say x equal to 1 you say. Then you can say that x equal to 1 is not a local minimum, no chance, because f dash of x evaluated at 1, which is 3x square, will be equal to 3, which is not equal to 0. So necessary conditions are not satisfied means, local minimum ruled out. Necessary conditions satisfied means local minimum possible. Yes, it is a possibility, but not sure. Sufficiency condition satisfied means sure that it is a local minimum. And that sureness is coming because the first point says that the stationarity is there. Second point says that the curvature is positive. If the curvature is positive, then it increases both sides. The function increases both sides, and that's the guarantee for it to be a local minimum. So in fact, it is called also this is a strict local minimum because no adjacent point is a local minimum. But if you had a trajectory like this, a horizontal surface and then goes up, here you would get like f dash of x is equal to 0, f double dash of x is also equal to 0, and here x is a local minimum. X is a local minimum, but we call this kind of a local minimum as a weak local minimum. So in fact, there are multiple, every point in the vicinity is also a local minimum. But again, as I said, this needs investigation of the function. For x equal to x cube, the stationarity did not mean anything. Here, both the conditions are same. F dash of x is here also 0. F double dash of x is here also 0. F dash of x is here also 0. F double dash of x is also here also 0. So both of them are candidatures, are likely candidates for local minimum, but this is a weak local minimum while this is not a local minimum. So there is unfortunately in optimization you would see this recurring theme that we have necessary conditions and we have sufficiency conditions, but seldom we get things like necessary and sufficient conditions. That happens with some very specific functions like convex functions and so on, but otherwise there is always a gap between necessary conditions and sufficiency conditions. We usually don't get a if and only if conditions so easily, and there could be many sufficiency conditions also. It's not one set of sufficiency conditions, another set of sufficiency conditions, and so on. So we will stop here and pursue this multivariate theme in the next class. Thank you.